Hey everybody, Matt Selhorst, the Boat Dealer Profits podcast, where we're committed to helping you sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. I appreciate you joining us today. We've got a fantastic guest that I know is just going to share a lot of insight and his perspective with his experience. You're really going to get a lot out of this. Marcus Sheridan is the sales lion, called a web marketing guru by the New York Times. Marcus Sheridan's story of saving his swimming pool company, River Pools, during the 2008 economic crash has been featured in multiple books, publications, and stories around the world. His experience was also the inspiration for his latest book, They Ask, You Answer, which was dubbed the #1 marketing book to read in 2017 by Mashable. Today, Sheridan has become a highly sought-after global speaker and consultant in the digital sales and marketing space, working with hundreds of businesses and brands alike to become the most trusted voice of their industry while navigating the ultra-fast rate of change occurring within the consumers and buyers today. Marcus will also be presenting at the MDCE in December at a session called Increased Closing Rates with Content Marketing. Marcus, welcome to the podcast.
Man, Matt, it's good to be here and excited to chat about my favorite industry, man. Which is certainly it's not marketing, it's boats.
I know. I've seen your video for MDCE. You had the center console. Looks like you get out doing some fishing. I think you've got some kids that you do a little fishing with as well. Is that right?
Yeah, my son, he is 14, and he actually attended when he was. Wasn't really into fishing much until he came around.
Okay.
And then, but although I kind of grew up on the water during the summertime, and then right around 10 or 11 years old, he really started to catch interest, and he said, I want to go to this one camp, and there's a camp here called MIT, which stands for Mates in Training. And so he spent 3 days on a charter boat and really learned the ins and the outs.
Yeah.
And so, by the time he was 11 years old, he was fully like, he could rig really anything that was needed. And when he got back from that, he said, Dad, let's go to the tackle shop. And so, we went to the tackle shop, and I just opened up the whole wallet and said, what do we need, son? And ever since then, we've been catching a lot of fish. So we spend about 200 plus hours a year, mainly trolling on the Chesapeake Bay. I live at the mouth. I've got a place on the Potomac River right at the mouth of the Potomac in the Chesapeake Bay. So it's mainly the middle grounds is what it's called, the middle bay. But, striped bass and Spanish mackerel, red drum, cobia, that's mainly what we have here. And hopefully my next boat is going to be the one that allows me to go out and catch tuna in the ocean. But that's the next one. That's on the docket.
I tell you what, the time with family and your kids that the boating lifestyle offers you, especially when they're so into it. I mean, when they get
Nothing
that
better,
itch,
man.
You're like, man, we found it. This is this is how we're gonna build our relationship. It'll be a part of your relationship for the rest of your life, and it's that powerful.
Yeah, if every dad went fishing with their kids, there'd be a lot more happy families and children in the world today. There's just no question about it.
Yeah, it's just it's one of the things that I love about the boating industry is, you really are impacting the whole family, and you're impacting people not just for the time they're on the water, but it changes your relationship with your son. I mean, I could imagine that from before fishing, you probably had a good relationship. Now after fishing, you guys have that thing. Like you guys have that thing that's yours. And the stories, the memories, it's fantastic.
Well, and that's what it is. It's the memories and the inside jokes that every parent needs with a child, and that's exactly what we've got. And we're still talking about the one that we lost. And if you have a story about the one you lost with somebody, there's a deep connection forever with that person.
Yep.
Right? Because it's one that that's the one that you lost.
Yeah. 30 years from now, you're gonna be telling his kids, oh man, I remember we were out in our center console, and the weather was like this, and just it's part of them, part of the relationship, which is awesome. So tell me a little bit about your story. How you got involved in the sales and marketing aspect. Obviously, your love of boating has kind of pulled your sales and marketing skills into this industry. So tell us that story a little bit.
Yeah, so the quick 101 is I actually started a swimming pool company in 2001 with two guys. I was essentially out of college, And we didn't know really what we wanted to be, but we struggled along and realized, hey, I think we want to do in-ground fiberglass pools. And things were going okay up until about 2008. So as we all know, the economy crashed in 2008. And the day of the crash, which was in September 2008, within 48 hours of that day, I had 5 people that had put down a deposit on a swimming pool. They withdrew that deposit, and they said, we just can't do that. So we lost about $250,000 in business in the first 48 hours, and then over the coming weeks, it got worse and worse and worse. And by January of 2009, we're literally going over the edge of bankruptcy for the company. And so I thought I was going to lose the business, and that's when I started to read about the internet and these fancy phrases like inbound marketing and content marketing and digital marketing and social media and blogging. But, really what I heard to myself, Matt, was, okay, so what you're saying to me is, if I just obsess over the questions my customers have about my product, and I'm willing to address them honestly and transparently on my website through text and video, I just might save my business. And so our core philosophy as a company became 4 simple words, which of course are they ask, you answer. And to make a long story very short, we did that prolifically and religiously for the next few years. And today we have the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. We get about 600,000 visitors a month, and I got so many leads and so many sales from it that A, we became the largest fiberglass installer of pools in the United States, and then B, we're getting so many leads outside of our area that I was forced to either throw the leads away or do something with them. And so about a year and a half ago, we started in earnest to manufacture our own fiberglass swimming pools, which was very, very exciting. We'll manufacture about 200 fiberglass pools this year. And I think we'll probably be the largest manufacturer of fiberglass pools in the U.S. within 7 to 10 years. And a side story to that is I literally just started messing around with boats in the plant over the last week, because I had a local fisherman, not a fisherman, he's a local, he just does one-off boats. And he said, would you help me with my hauls? And I said, yeah, give me the plug, and we'll help you. We'll help you to build it out. And so that's pretty exciting. But it's just absolutely a snowball at this point, and it's so powerful and amazing. And I'm lucky enough that in this process, Matt, I was having so much success that I wanted to tell other businesses like what I was doing right, and so I started to write about it. And I called the blog, it was a personal blog, I called it The Sales Lion, and I started that about 6-7 years ago, just documenting my journey. And then it started to develop some traction and some audience. And then before I knew it, some conferences started saying, hey, could you tell that story here? Or some companies said, could you teach us how to do that? And today I'm a full-time speaker. I'm a silent partner with River Pools. I do a little bit each week, but mainly what I do is I travel the world and I speak to cool folks like yourself. And, I've spoken to now a bunch of manufacturers in the boating industry, which I absolutely adore. It's been a great ride.
That's fantastic. And isn't it amazing that the same strategies that helped save your pool company worked to build your speaking and consulting business now?
Yeah,
it's the same concept.
Well, and that's a really important point, Matt. Whenever I go speak anywhere, the first thing that we have to address with the audience is that everybody in the room really wants to feel like their situation is different, and that therefore the things that they hear won't necessarily apply to them. And so we have to see what is the common ground, and here's the common ground that we can all agree upon, and that is whether you're a pool guy, whether you're a boat guy, whether you're in your manufacturing, whether you're in service, whether you're a product, you're in the business of trust. And that's the battle that we're in every single day, right? And so when I go and I talk about sales and marketing, what I'm really talking about is how can you become the most trusted voice in your space, so that when anybody thinks of a question, a need, a worry, a concern, that they say, you know what, I bet you Matt and his team have the answer. I bet you if I go there, I'll find exactly what I need. And not only will I find it, but Matt's going to shoot straight with me. He's going to speak to me on my level.
Yep, exactly. It's it's one of the things that it makes such common sense, and it's really not that hard to do, but it's really intimidating, I think, for a lot of people. Like, I was reading one of your articles, I don't know what it was, you said one of the biggest objections is, well, I don't know what to say. What am I going to put in my blog? What am I going to put in my videos? Talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we overanalyze this stuff, and we allow this this need for perfection to really screw it up. I mean, this isn't NASA, right? So if you think about it, the quickest thing that you can do is literally just sit down and brainstorm the questions you get every single day from your customers. Now, that might be, if you sell boats, that starts from the moment that they walk into the door to once they're looking at a model, what are the questions they ask about that model?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I take myself right now, Matt. I'm in the process because I want to learn to do ocean fishing, offshore fishing, we'll call it, because I'm used to bay in the Chesapeake Bay.
Right, yeah.
Right? Where, the chop, 3 or 4 feet, that's, it's so close together. You don't go out after that because it just beats you up. I've got a 24-foot walk around, and I know my next boat's going to be 30 to 35 feet, right? But there's a lot of questions that are on my mind right now.
Right.
So, what is the most ideal brand for that? Should it be a center console, or should it be a walk around, with the cabin, or should it be a hybrid between the two? How much power should I really have? How fast do I really need to go? It's like, what is the right fit for me? It seems like there's all these options that I now have to consider because, before I was in that, spend less than $75,000 mode, because that was really my first main fishing boat. It really was my first main boat. And it's like, okay, learn the deal there. Now I realize, okay, I'm going to spend probably anywhere between $150,000 and $750,000. Right?
Yep.
Like if I'm looking at the typical range for the stuff that is attractive to me, and
right.
for me, and within each one of those, I got a ton of questions. And what's crazy is most websites you go to, Matt, all they want to do is tell you the features of the boat.
Yep.
They don't explain the features.
Yeah,
right?
There's no benefit associated with it.
Right,
Just
there's no
feature.
benefit associated. They don't explain it. And then here's the part that really shocks me. They never say, and this isn't a good fit for you if.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? So it's like every what makes a salesperson or sales messaging attractive to someone is if the other side that's receiving it immediately perceives that you're unbiased and that you have their best interests at heart.
Yep.
And if you are willing to call a spade, that's amazing. Like, I want people to say to me, okay, Marcus, so you say you want a center console, but let's analyze this. How often is your family going to be on it? How many kids do you have? Right? Like, how far are we be going out on average? Right? So do you expect that you ever might be in bad weather? Like, these are the things that I want somebody to ask me, yet notwithstanding, most don't have that conversation. And I did this thing recently. I was at a manufacturer's event for their dealers.
Okay.
And I showed one of the boats that I had been looking at, right? And I said, okay, now, here with this boat, it comes with a description of all the features that it comes with, right? And blah, 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 blah. And then it shows all the options that I could also possibly get with the boat. And then I said, okay, now, let's assume I actually know a little bit about boats, but not a ton yet because I haven't owned a significant boat yet, right? And so let's analyze how many of these I could truly explain to you what it means right now. It was less than 50% of the features/options that it talked about, Matt, could I truly explain what it was or what it meant.
Yep. And not only that, but the other part, which is probably a smaller percentage, is how does it impact me as a boater? Like, is it valuable in the way I'm going to use it? I mean, then it drops down even more.
Oh, there's no question. And I told the group there, I said, every one of these little features that you have underneath this boat should have a link coming off of the feature to an article and a video on your website that is thoroughly explaining to me not just what it is, who's it for, what's the benefit, what is the problem that it solves, do I really need it or not? Right? This is the stuff that is golden, that somebody serious like me that is definitively going to buy a boat, I'm not exactly sure when, I just know I'm going to.
Right.
Certainly within the next 24 months, but knowing me, it could be 24 days or it could be 24 months. I just don't know. Yeah. And it really is profound to me how, what's crazy is this industry, the boating industry, in terms of education, it's run by one website, which is the Whole Truth. Mm-hmm. The Whole Truth is where people go to ask the real questions as buyers. Like, okay, I'm looking at I'm looking at a Grady 330 Express and a Boston Whaler 350 Conquest. So which one really should I choose and why? And then everybody jumps in and gives their honest opinions. Do you know who doesn't address that? Dealers.
Right.
You know who doesn't address that? Manufacturers.
Manufacturers, yep.
Nobody addresses that, but yet they get the questions every single day. I think that's crazy. It doesn't make sense to me.
You're on what I call the educational spectrum of the boat buyer. Is you've got your researchers, your evaluators, and your now buyers. And that researcher and evaluator phase, you know, other than hopefully getting a great salesperson and having a one-on-one conversation, it's difficult to do any significant research online with the unbiased aspect. And I love, it was one of your articles I read, a list that you did in the pool industry, which I thought was great. Your top pool installers in the area.
Yeah.
And what pool builder was left off? Yours. I mean, it's such a way to build trust in this untrusting world that we unfortunately live in, but it's reality, so you got to deal with it. Talk about that strategy and how you came to that.
So the beauty behind it of the strategy of they ask you answer, it's really simple. You're obsessed with hearing the questions when they're asked to you, and then when you hear the question, you say, have I ever addressed that on my website, you know, on my digital properties? And so like one night I was in Richmond, Virginia. I met with a couple this is when I was still a pool guy. Met with a couple for a couple hours, and at the end I gave them a quote and everything. They said, Marcus, we like you. We really do. We think we want to do business with you, but if we don't do business with you, is there anybody else that you might recommend? And I thought to myself, oh, geez, I hate this question. And I didn't sell the pool that night. And I did, though, have a long drive home, Matt, and I said to myself, well, they asked the question, so that means I need to answer it. Yep. So I went home that night, and I wrote an article. It was, who are the best pool builders in Richmond, Virginia, review/ratings. And I came up with a list of 5 of the best pool builders in Richmond, Virginia. Now, in and of itself, a lot of people would say that is so crazy and ludicrous. Second half to that, like you said, is I didn't even put myself on the list. And you say, well, why not? And the answer is actually pretty simple, because if you create a best of a list and then you include yourself in said list, well, then, of course, you're going to lose credibility.
Right.
And everything is about trust. And so if you're basing your business decisions on trust and what induces the most trust, if that's your moral compass, well, then you understand why I'm not on the list. But go deeper than that, because if somebody goes online today and they search best pool builders Richmond, Virginia, which is a prolific search, that's the first thing they're going to see. But here's where it gets really, really cool, Matt. More often than not, when someone is vetting my competitors online and is doing research. So like if you went online and you put reviews, Playmore Pools, Richmond, Virginia. Playmore Pools is one of my big competitors. Okay. So if you typed in reviews, Playmore Pools, Richmond, Virginia, it's common search. We're one of the immediate ones that you're going to see. And that's why today, when somebody is researching and vetting our competitors, oftentimes they're going to learn about them where? On our website. Because you see, I realized this a long time ago, that consumer ignorance is no longer a viable sales and marketing strategy. So if I'm counting on the fact that they're not going to find out about the other, thing, that other option, that other technology, that other special, that other discount, I'm sorely mistaken.
Right.
But if I treat them as informed, educated human beings, and I speak to them honestly and transparently, they will pick up on that. They will like it. It will induce trust, and it allows me to say things and talk about things and do things that nobody in the industry is doing. That's why I shook up the entire pool industry. That's why we have the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world, because we were willing to do stuff like that.
Yeah, and it starts with, I think, one, the mentality, but also just the confidence that, we don't have to play games. We can be honest and upfront with people, because we do an exceptional job in this area, and other people do a good job too in their area, but I'm confident enough that we can earn the business. I remember at a boat show, I had a lady ask me, hey, this is how I want to use my boat. Is this the right boat for me? And I'm like, if what you're saying is true, it's not. Go talk to these 3 people and evaluate that. She came back a month later and said, you know what? That's not really how I'm going to use my boat. And how easy was that sale? And what kind of relationship and referrals did Pam Smith was her name? I mean, just having the integrity and having the confidence that if they're not right for me, why would I sell them something that isn't a fit? And I think that fits perfectly into your they ask, you answer scenario. That's exactly right.
And to your point again, I know I kind of stated this, but on every boat that you sell, I'm just saying, use boats as an example, you should always have a section of who it's for and then also who it's not for. It is by showing both sides of that coin, are you going to become that trust agent? But if you just say, this boat is awesome, and here's why it's awesome, well, then you're going to sound like everybody else. And if you say what everybody else says about that boat, well, then it's just noise, and you've commoditized the item, and it's going to be based on price when they decide on who to buy it from. And that's no good. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah, we're the best manufacturer. This is the best boat in the category. Now, tell me, I always love, talk to me about your experience buying your center console. Did you buy that from a dealer, from a private seller?
Well, it's not a center console. It's a walk around.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And it's a 23-footer. And here's what's so interesting about that, right? So it's a 23-foot sea hunt. And keep in mind, this was my first boat that I ever really owned was a John boat. And it was like, I owned the John boat, I think, 7 years ago. And I was toting, my son and I were trolling in a John boat. We're like, time to step up, right? And we went from a John boat to our first boat, which was a 16-foot Bayliner center console used boat. It was like $4,000, and it could just got me around, and I used it for a year. And I'm like, okay. By the end of that year, we started to go into the Chesapeake Bay a little bit. And my wife's like, you know what? You're starting to put the life of my child in a precarious situation. And so I think you should probably consider your next boat. And I'm like, okay, now I feel like I can actually handle a boat. I'm going to graduate up. So here's the thing. I knew I wanted a cabin. I knew I wanted a walk around. But I had one special requirement. And here's where it gets really interesting and specific. And this is where they ask you answers so key. Because I have 4 kids, 3 daughters and a son, I knew I wanted a bench all the way across the back of the boat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I wanted that stern bench all the way across. And the reason is because you can fit 4 butts in that seat. Most walk-arounds, as you know, Matt, have a bucket seat in each corner. And then what will happen is the live well or whatever, shoots out in the middle. And so it eliminates your ability to have that longer bench. And so I'm like, I didn't want that. And you know what I searched? I searched best walk-around boat for families. That's what I searched online. And I think it ended up stumbling across probably the Hall Truth or something because they tend to educate so much better than manufacturers and most dealers, unfortunately. And I saw, oh my goodness, finally, there's a model here that has a bench all the way across the back. And it really just fit my needs at the time, and I think I spent like $48,000 on it. It's got a 200 horsepower Yamaha, just one on it. The top speed is like 38 miles an hour. And for me, everything about it is the right choice for where it was. But obviously, I'm ready to graduate up. I realized, okay, sea hunt's fine, but it really, there's, the difference between the hardware of that particular boat versus a Grady White or a Whaler. Now I totally understand the difference between. I get it. I didn't know what I didn't know. And it's hard until you start to experience this. But now, being somewhat experienced, I know a lot of things that I'm looking for. Let me give you a silly one here, Matt. But this is stuff that I think about. My sea hunt, it's 2 drainage. What do you call them? Drainage holes in the for the boat are
the scuppers.
Scuppers are not recessed in the floor. They're about a 1/2 inch circles off of the bottom of the floor on the rear wall, on the stern wall on the inside. I hate it because
just that little
to
bit
drain
of
it, I have to stand on the, to get that last little bit of water out. I have to stay on the corner when I'm washing it after I'm done and tilt the boat so that it all gathers there in a drain, and it drives me crazy. You better believe one of the first things that I'm looking for in my next boat is those scupper drains. Are they going to be easy and just am I not going to have that problem ever again? I think it's the dumbest design ever. I don't understand why anybody would do that. It makes no sense. But because it's just above the floor, there's always settlement right there, and it drives me crazy. That's a little thing, but that's the type of stuff that I'm looking at as a buyer.
You're right, right. And your research that you're doing, are you doing right now online? I mean, you travel a ton. You're speaking.
I do.
You're speaking
I
probably
research
every week.
boats an hour a week, Matt.
Yeah.
I spend 1 hour a week researching boats. And what's crazy is, there's a stat that's out there right now, which I'm going to talk about when I come out to the conference in December. And that is, they say 80% of the content that is consumed online by the year 2019 is going to be video-based content, right? And so you figure 2019 is like 14 months away. And what percentage of the website, your website right now, if you're listening to this, is video? Now, here's what I oftentimes see. And this is what drives me crazy about the manufacturers. It seems like every manufacturer has this stupid drone video of the boat going across the ocean, and everybody looks happy, and I just don't care about that. Why?
Yep.
Because if you've seen one overhead shot of a boat going through the water, you've seen them all. Do you know what nobody ever shows me? Really rough. Like, nobody ever shows me, like, let me see, like, 4 to 5 foot chop and how the boat handles that.
Yep.
How come nobody shows me that? Are they afraid that it's going to scare me? No, that's what I care about, right?
Yep.
And then I want to see, like, most videos, it's like, unless you're getting my daily email from boattrader.com, where they do the where they do the really nice demos, right?
Mm-hmm. The boat tests.
Yeah, boattest.com. That's what it is. Boattest.com. That is the one company that gets it, and it's like, why aren't companies doing that type of walkthrough themselves? Now, I understand, like, okay, Boat Test has got a good thing going because, you pay them and they do a video and everybody wins, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, no, that's fine. But we should have one of those for every single one of our boats. And here's what's crazy. Lots of times dealers depend on manufacturers to create the good stuff for them. This is flawed thinking, in my opinion, Matt. And let me give you an example when I talk about it. When I was as a pool guy, we didn't manufacture our own pools for the first 15 years, right? And so I always was carrying somebody else's product. And instead of me waiting on them to produce the videos of their models that I wanted to see as the consumer, I created them myself.
Yeah,
why am I going to wait for somebody else? And besides, they're generally out of touch with buyers much more so than salespeople are.
Yeah, their videos aren't going to be what you would want anyway.
Exactly. And so it doesn't matter if it's not super highly glossed and professional and all this stuff. I mean, the fact of the matter is this, Matt, we're all media companies. You're a media company, I'm a media company. I'm a media company that happens to sell swimming pools. I'm a media company that happens to do sales and marketing consulting. If somebody's listening to this, they're a media company that happens to be in the marine industry. That's fact. The moment we accept that, we can start to make decisions that are based on the future, not on the past, right?
Yep.
And so, for example, both of my companies, even though they're not large businesses, have full-time videographers. Any boat dealer that is serious about this business, that doesn't just have a couple on the lot, that's really serious about this business, they need a full-time videographer / photographer. Full-time. Yep. You just do at this point. And if you don't have that person, somebody has to act as that, but it is a full-time job at this point. If you have any inventory to truly show it like I want to see it, as I want it explained to me. And don't buy into this crapola that your video should be 90 seconds or less like you hear online, because that's the biggest pile of horse dung that I've ever heard in my life. Because somebody like me, like boattest.com, their average video is somewhere around like 8-9 minutes. And I'm telling you, I will happily watch 20, 30, 40 minutes on one boat. Look, if I'm going to go spend $500,000 on a boat, do you think I'm willing to spend more than 90 seconds per video? Heck, yes.
Yeah.
You see, a lot of these stats that we see out there are screwed up. They don't truly indicate high-ticket items. They don't truly reflect today's buyer. What they reflect is, how do you make a video go viral on Facebook?
Yeah, who cares?
That's not our goal.
Yeah.
Our goal is to move product, to sell deals, right? And the way to do this is to earn a dramatic amount of trust before they come to the showroom. Sometimes dealers say to me in this industry, they say, yeah, but our sales team is amazing, man. Yeah, the problem is 70% of the sales process, this is a fact, happens before they walk into your showroom.
Yep.
That's a fact. And it's arguably higher in the boating space. And so with that being the case is, how well do I get to know your salespeople before I even walk into your showroom? Because if I can't see their face and hear their voice, then I can't know them before I walk into the showroom. I should already recognize your people on the floor when I come to your shop. If you're really thinking progressively in terms of the way that you market and the way that you sell in the digital age.
Yeah, I talk about the marketing processes. You can start on the 20-yard line and have to drive 80 yards for a touchdown, or you can do a lot of the things you're talking about, and video is a huge one. The content, just salesmanship, canned and cloned is the way I refer to it. Or you can start on the 50-yard line and only have to drive 50 yards, or even better when they have that relationship, when you're doing the videos like you're talking about. You mentioned something I want to get back to, because it's just like it can only be 30 seconds or 90 seconds. I think that's complete garbage too. But you said it doesn't have to be a Steven Spielberg production. Talk about that, because I think that holds people back at times too.
I mean, there's a reason why we got all these rich teenagers running around these days that are, have these ultra successful followers, and, they run these businesses that you're like, how did this happen? They're a teenager. And that's because they're not obsessed with perfection when it comes to video. And, when we do a ton of video training with my company, and we've helped a lot of companies develop a culture of video in-house. And our general rule of thumb is this: when you get started with video, in terms of quality, on a scale of 1 to 10, you want the production level to be a 6 out of 10 or higher. You want the audio quality to be a 9 out of 10 or higher. All right? So that's a general rule of thumb. We have a lot of patience when we're watching a video in terms of, again, the production value. But we don't have a lot of patience when it comes to the audio. It's got to sound good. We need to sound good, because otherwise it bothers our brain, and we have to jump out.
Yeah.
So, at this point in time, there is so much, it's never been easier from an equipment standpoint, especially with phones and phonography, right? From phones and accessories that you can get on your phone to simple editing software. At this point, it's like this, Matt, and I really mean this. If you, regardless of how techie you are, spend 30 days practicing with video and editing with video, you can be the person that does all the shooting and all the editing on staff. 30 days. You might say, that's a lot of time. Well, I don't think that's a lot of time to change your business for the next, few decades. Yeah,
absolutely. And you said it, what was it, 80% by 2019?
Yeah, that's 14 months away.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, this interview right here, we got on the phone and said, hey, you want to do this on audio? Just dial in, or you want to do it on video? And with 30 seconds notice, now we've got a video with your smartphone. And I'm sure you're going to talk about this on at MDCE. It's really simple with the technology. So tell me a little bit about your MDCE presentation and what people can expect from you there, because I think this is a topic that you really need to be at his session.
I'm actually going to talk to Freya today. She's the one that invited me to that show. The title is not very good. How content marketing improves closing rates is not a very good title. So I'm going to be talking, specifically about how we can dramatically increase closing rates and lead flow by following the principles that we've been talking about today, which is essentially they ask, you answer, and becoming the best teacher in your space, and being willing to address the questions that nobody else in your space is willing to address, and how you can do it. We're going to talk about the textual side of things. We're going to talk about the video side of things. And it's going to be chock full of value. The people are going to come there, and they're going to be not only entertained, but they're going to be incredibly educated, and it's going to be a takeaway-driven conversation. There's a reason why my first talk in the marine industry was earlier this year, and I think since then I've given over 10, because it's like this stuff is just magic in this industry, and I couldn't be more passionate about the industry. And so put it together, it's going to be one of the best talks that you attend of the event. If you're there, I promise you, I'm not just saying that. It's not an arrogant statement, but I really mean you're going to get a ton of value out of that, with lots of takeaways that you could apply immediately to your business.
Yeah. And if you're wondering, hey, should I go? Go check out the saleslion.com. There's some video, there's some resources there and there's some little videos of you speaking and just engaging, exciting, fun, and the rock solid information too. It's money making information, it's not just entertainment. And to me, you got to have a little bit of the entertainment or a lot. But if the information isn't rock solid, then it's just, you can go to a comedy club and get an hour of entertainment. But check out some of his resources. I don't know if there's any specific that you want to share with folks right now that they can get.
Well, the simple one, and this sounds self-serving, I don't mean it to be, but if you really want the full extent of this before the talk even, just go to Amazon.com and get the book They Ask You Answer.
Yep.
As you mentioned earlier, it's done really, really well, and it resonates strong, especially, it was really written for business owners more than marketers. It speaks the language of sales and marketing and business, because really it's a business philosophy that's going to dramatically impact your sales. And so I would check that out. But, if you just go to our learning center that we have and you check out any of the videos, because there's a plethora of videos that you're going to see on the site, you're going to get plenty. There's tons there, man. It's all free. So like you said, the saleslion, lion.com, it's worth your time. It's worth a visit.
Yeah. And, again, just like we talked about, the same strategies and techniques he's sharing for the boating world, he's actually using in his business. The podcast, the videos, the reports, the information, the articles.
All of it.
You can see it in action, how it works in that business, and just, picture how it applies to your business, and then go see him down in Orlando. And I'm sure you're going to have some real life examples of, hey, here's something that you can go and do tonight, or you can do tomorrow. Yep. That are going to help you sell some more boats. You're
going to be flooded with ideas. You really, really will.
Yep.
And then, of course, it's going to be up to you to do it. But you're going to have the ideas, and you're going to have the foundation, and that's critical.
Yeah, and come in with an open mind that it's not 1996 anymore.
That's right.
That the age has changed. The consumer's mentality, they're still looking for the information. Just needs to be delivered in a great way or a different way. So Marcus, hey man, I appreciate it. I think the information that you shared here today was highly valuable. And if you're down in Orlando, make sure that you go check out his session. Sounds like there may be a renaming of it coming up.
It's got to sound cooler than I saw that name. I'm like, what? That doesn't sound right. That sounds kind of
before
corny.
They go to print. But anyway, hey man, I appreciate it. Thesaleslion.com. Check out his book on Amazon. It's got some amazing reviews out there if you haven't checked it out already. And Marcus, I will definitely be saying hey to you down in Orlando. And I appreciate you joining here on the podcast, man.
My pleasure, Matt. Best to you in the audience. I love this industry. Let's keep it growing.
I agree. Take care, man.
See you now.
So a great interview with Marcus Sheridan, the Sales Lion, saleslion.com. And just wanted to offer, if you're looking to increase your sales, sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun, I invite you to continue the conversation, whether it's checking out the podcast, the blogs, and the articles at boatdealerprofits.com/podcast. You can also apply for the Splash system, which is my guaranteed system to help you increase your gross margins by $50,000 or more with a lot of the strategies that we talked about in a done-for-you format. A lot of just rock solid, specific for your boat business that we customize and get the results. And that's done in the Splash system. You can apply. That is a by application only. There's some area exclusiveness to it. There's a lot of tools that you're given that will just, as one of my clients said, revolutionized about 70% of how they do business and have boosted up their profits. So that's the key. If it's not working, you can get that at boatdealerprofits.com/apply. You can also, if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, I've had dealers on, people like Marcus that are experts in the marketing and sales world. Been in the New York Times, has a highly successful book, which you really should pick up as well. But you can get that at, just email me, Matt at boatdealerprofits.com. I've got a backlog of these podcasts that are queued up. So we'll get you in line, and would love to have you on a guest if you have some interesting and insightful information to share our experiences. That would be fantastic as well. BoatDealerProfits.com for any other resources. There's some free reports. You can get my book, BoatDealerProfits.com. I don't even know if I've got one here by me. There we go. A little commercial, BoatDealerProfits.com, how the splash system can help you sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. That's available at Amazon, but I've got a free offer going on right now. If you go to BoatDealerProfitsBook.com, you can pick up a free copy, a bunch of bonuses. I just ask that you pick up a small shipping and handling fee and of $7.95. So for $8, you get the book shipped to you, paperback copy, and a bunch of videos that are extremely valuable. You'll definitely find them very helpful. So anyway, if you're going down to MDCE, make sure you stop by and say hey to me. And I look forward to talking to you there and seeing you on the next podcast, the next video, the next boating industry article, wherever you can find me. We'll catch